Hello guys, welcome back again to College Dunia's YouTube channel. Today we have with us in the topper series Sidharth. Sidharth has cleared XLRI and has secured a seat in this year's. So first of all, congrats Sidharth for securing a seat in the topmost colleges of India.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So again Sidharth, पहले तो ये बताओ कैसा चल रहा है यार, मतलब कैसी फीलिंग आ रही है? दिस इज अ ड्रीम फॉर लाइक टॉप 10 कॉलेजेस में आना है यार, कोई वो
right. It's definitely surreal. For starters, when I got the result, I could not believe. I went to my mother and I showed her the email, and then she told me that even she was very excited to see all of this happening, and it was hard for her to believe as well. Although we were expecting a call, but there's always a luck factor involved, and you never know what point goes against you. So felt almost unreal for a couple of days till I kept getting mails from them, which were basically reassurance that this has actually happened.
So talking about your assurance, you might have heard about other colleges as well. So और भी calls आए होंगे, right?
Right. Yes. So I appeared for the interview processes of NM, IMS, IMT, IIFT, Delhi, and other institutes as well. I have conversions from them. I have been waitlisted by a couple of institutes, and of course, I'm not waiting for any more results which are awaited because I'll be joining XLRI. But there are some results that are still yet to come out.
I don't think XLRI के बाद कोई wait भी करता होगा, because like this is, I mean, you could classify the non-IIMs में one of the best है, and in IIMs also it's comparable to the best. I mean,
right, of course.
It's all subjective. कि A, B, C, XLRI, FMS, these are all subjective things. But
right.
Yeah, once again, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And you can live freely for like 2-3 महीने तक. अब you can be free till June, right? 1 or 1.5 months at least.
Right. Just like you said, it's very subjective. All these things, this is also very subjective. We've been bombarded with so many requirements from the institute, totally not complaining about it, but you need to arrange documents for your CV verification and more documents required as proofs before we join the campus. So we are completely into that at the moment.
So have they started CV verification already?
They've told us to be ready with all documents which will be required for the CV verification, because as you know, IIMs and top B schools, they have day zero companies. So these colleges need to have our CVs verified before those companies come on campus.
So that's an amazing initiative, because I think not many colleges do that. Suddenly, because all your documents are basically ready, but some proofs you need to get from your work experience, right?
Right.
So those are the important things and they've told you, so it's amazing. So once again, I can't congratulate you enough. But again, फिर अपन बात करते हैं कि कैसा रहा journey. So tell me about your journey, because CAT के लिए मतलब you have work experience, right?
Right. Yes.
अच्छा, जर्नी से भी पहले पूरा मतलब अपना जर्नी बताओ कि क्या आपके एकेडमिक्स रहे और कैसे मन बता कि ओके लेट्स डू एन एमबीए नाउ.
ओके, तो बात ऐसी है कि एकेडमिकली मैं हमेशा स्ट्रांग रहा हूँ. मैं ये नहीं कहूँगा कि मैं एकेडमिकली बहुत इंक्लाइंड था. आई हैव नेवर बीन द पर्सन हु स्टडीज फॉर लॉन्ग आवर्स, पुटिंग इन अ लॉट ऑफ हार्ड वर्क एवरी सिंगल डे, स्टडीइंग फॉर a couple of weeks before the exam also. Since I'm an engineer, most engineers know we study a couple of nights before the exam, and that's
I think not most, it's all, I think so.
Practically all. There are maybe just 1% people who put in a lot of effort throughout the year. Never been that kind of a person. I have been serious about things, and I know where to draw a line, where to focus on extracurriculars and co-curriculars as well. Even during my job, I never made my entire life about my job. I take very keen interest in photography and traveling. I also like to work out. I like to keep myself fit. So I've always made a balanced day of mine for many years now. So, and my mother has played a very crucial role in helping me achieve that. She's never been behind my life कि बेटा पढ़ाई करने बैठ जाओ, इतने घंटे तो पढ़ना पड़ेगा. So last year, as you asked about my journey, I was working with one of the top MNCs in the IT industry, and as it happens, so I was not enjoying my technical job, and I knew that I had to pursue an MBA. So I felt that it's a better decision to rather quit my job and prepare for an MBA full time so that I can make it to one of the top colleges of the country. And thankfully, my mother and my family as well, they were quite supportive. In the month of July last year, I completed my notice period, and my experience with the company and the corporate world ended there. I joined a coaching institute in Indore, the branch of Time Institute, which is there in Indore, and I prepared with them with their classroom program. So I had 2 hours of classes every day in the morning. I chose the morning batch from 7 to 9. उससे क्या हो जाता है, सवेरे अगर आपने क्लास अटेंड कर ली, जो फॉर्मल कोर्स एंड करिकुलम कवर होना है आपका, वो सवेरे हो जाएगा, एंड उसके बाद यू हैव द एंटायर डे टू योरसेल्फ. आप जिस पेस पे चाहें सेल्फ प्रिपेयर कर सकते हैं. सो थ्रू आउट द जर्नी ऐसा कभी नहीं था कि आई स्पेंट 5-6 hours of self study every day, even though I had the time to do that, but I structured it in a consistent manner कि हर दिन करूंगा, पर हर दिन 2 ही घंटा करूंगा. 2 घंटे सेल्फ स्टडी भी करूंगा, इंजॉय भी करूंगा, फ्रेंड्स के साथ बाहर जाऊंगा, वर्कआउट करूंगा हर दिन. I'll even go on small trips in and around Indore. I'll pursue my hobby of photography as well. At the same time, as the month of August ended, I realized कि mock test देना बहुत जरूरी है. So from September onwards, I started giving mock tests, and it happens so that the mock test series of Time is centralized and it's very good. The level is almost similar to, in fact, I should be very honest here, it's tougher than CAT and ZAT, the mock test that they have. So played a very crucial role. Their tool also helps us analyze the result, find weaknesses and strengths. So you can always work on your weaknesses to make sure that you clear the cutoffs after you're done with the exam. And you can always work on your strength as well. क्योंकि strength पे काम करने से उन सारे questions को बहुत अच्छे से करके अपना percentile बढ़ा सकते हैं उस section में. So even that helps. So that's been my journey in a crux. फिर तो exams हो गए, and luckily I got so many interview calls. I appeared for all of them, and again, fortunately, not even one of my interviews was bad in my opinion. So it all worked out well, thanks to God.
Again, of course. So एक छोटी सी चीज, मतलब और थोड़ा सा नंबर्स पे बात करते हैं, बिकॉज आपकी प्रोफाइल में आधा बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रहता है कि एमबीए प्रोफाइल में 10th 12th grad score and work ex, because these are the criteria that, like you say, 10 10 10 10 10 9, these kind of things, and it helps gain perspective as well कि हाँ किस मार्क्स पे आपको कहाँ एडमिशन कितने परसेंटाइल पे हो रहा है. So can you share those with us as well?
Okay, so I had a perfect 10 CGPA in my class 10 board exams. For class 12, I had 97.2% in the CBSE class 12 exams. I was amongst the city toppers as well for Indore, so even that plays a role. It becomes an academic achievement when you're applying to these top B schools. You can always list that as an achievement. And again, happens so that I was one of the university toppers after my engineering. I had a 3.88 CGPA out of 4. So, see...
Okay. And you were decent. Okay, I agree to the fact that you said, okay, I'm decent at studies, I'm not too good. So that's very humbling of you. But I think...
I've always been serious about studies. It's not, I don't give these parameters a lot of importance when it comes to a personal level. It's just that I've been serious, and
of course.
I've been getting the reward, I think.
But sir, 10... perfect 10, that's like 100%, I think. So, or 95, it converts to 95%. And then converting it, then 97 or 98%. And then 3.88, that's like you're going in reverse, the easiest class 10th. You've scored least percentage of marks. So, and of course, 3.88, that's like a perfect profile. You must have got the maximum marks for academic, right?
I had a perfect for 2 semesters. And other than those 2 perfect 4s, I had many 3.9s. So it makes my entire CGPA come at 3.88.
Okay, that's amazing. So you're like the kid in town. Everybody says like study like him. Like what's that meme called Sharma Ji Ka Launda? So that's like you're kind of that guy, but you would be humble not to accept that, but you are.
I'm not being humble here. I'm being as honest as I can. So many people, they contact my mother, my father, and they tell me कि सिद्धार्थ से बात कराओ, हमारे बच्चे को कुछ बताए. All I tell people is follow a process that works out for you. 2 घंटा पढ़ाई करना comfortable है तो उतना करो, it's best for you. अगर कोई इंसान जिसकी capacity 2 घंटा है वो 3 घंटा करेगा, so this result is only going to come down. So these people tell me कि कोई बात नहीं, ऐसे नहीं होता है. See, that's how it is. I've never been that hard task master on myself, or I honestly don't promote it otherwise also.
Of course, it's true. And jokes apart, these are amazing acads, and it's not that you must have worked hard for them. It's not like anybody could do it easily. So it's not that you are working for 2 hours or 3 hours or 10 hours. It's about the dedication that you have towards it. Right. If you're able to do it in 2 hours, that's enough. Why would you study more than that? But amazing acads. Exactly. अगर अब आते हैं थोड़ा सा प्रिपरेशन पे, एक बात मैं पूछना चाहूंगा. आपने बोला कि मेरे को लगा that I can't do such preparation with my job, right? But you also said, okay, I just prepared for like 2 hours and not so much of time. Correct. So, and coaching. So could you have done it? Or if you can't, I mean, can someone else do it with the job as well? Because a lot of aspirants might be listening to this right now.
Right. So I've actually talked about this with many people. People reached out to me regarding the same on LinkedIn as well. So I tell people that it's completely up to the person. So as a person, I am very different and somebody else may be totally different. And it's not just dependent on my caliber to do my work. I was doing very well in my job. I was even compensated for it. And I even received a couple of awards during my tenure with the company, which are proof enough of the fact that I was doing well. But what I felt was this is not something that I want to do for the rest of my life. And 2 things here. So first thing, had I stayed in the company, I would have had more responsibility because I was doing well. And secondly, which is more important, is just in case I would have not been able to crack these exams, or for that matter, even interviews at a later stage, I would have had something to blame. ये जॉब थी ना, टाइम नहीं निकाल पाया मैं, मुझे इन्वायरमेंट नहीं मिल पाया, जब मुझे पढ़ना था तब रात को मीटिंग आ गई थी.
आई थिंक इसमें एक और चीज रहता है कि हमारे पास जॉब में सेफ्टी नेट रहता है. क्विटिंग जॉब, इट्स लाइक अब तो ये करना ही है.
Exactly. I was asked this question in my XLRI interview as well. That why did you not choose to do it with your job and have something to fall back on? So I said, I mean, you have to take risks somewhere. You have to give yourself a zone where you know you don't have something to fall back on. Only then maybe you will push harder than you can. So that
reminds me, if you have seen or not, that remind me of the movie Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
The same thing happens with the same exact situation. So if you don't have the option of falling back, then you will always succeed.
Correct. Yes, in most cases it actually happens. So I took the hard call of doing this. Of course, I'll be very honest here. My father was not in favor of me quitting the job because, he wants my life to be as less full of risk as possible. And that's true for all Indian parents, I believe. Exactly. Indians are not very much of risk takers in general. But as it happened, so my mother was pretty supportive, and she knew that if I've decided to go forward in a certain way, I must have a plan. So thankfully, they also supported me enough and they helped me get through this.
I know the feeling that parents want, like, because I got selected in a government job and I was like, no, I'll not be doing a government job, I'll be pursuing MBA. So that's a bit hard for Indian parents to process that, okay, he's leaving a government job. So that's like, So coming back to preparation, so आप कह रहे थे mocks. So let's understand the concept of mocks, because हर कोई कहता है कि mocks देने चाहिए, mocks देने चाहिए, mocks देने चाहिए, right? But I don't think everybody gets the point of mocks. So because mocks देना important नहीं है, मतलब of course देना तो important है ही, but mocks को analyze करना भी important है.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So what is your take on this?
Okay. So my opinion concerning mock tests is a little different as compared to what most coaching institutes share with aspirants and candidates. So most people tell you जितने ज़्यादा mocks दे सकते हो उतना अच्छा है. Start giving mocks as early as possible. पहले से देते रहो. एनालाइज भी करते जाओ. मैं ऐसा मानता हूँ when you feel almost a good chunk of your curriculum around which these exams revolve is covered, then you should start giving complete full mocks which have all 3 sections or 5 sections as far as every particular exam is concerned. तो तब mocks देना start करना चाहिए. उसके पहले you can always rely on sectional mock tests. As far as CAT is concerned, 40-40 मिनट के सेक्शनल मॉक्स हर अच्छा कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट प्रोवाइड करता है, एंड दे गिव यू अ वेरी गुड प्लेटफॉर्म टू प्रिपेयर वन सेक्शन इंडिविजुअली. तो ये आप करना विथ योर प्रिपरेशन भी कंटिन्यूसली रख सकते हैं ऑन गोइंग, बट इट्स अ गुड डिसीजन टू अपीयर फॉर फुल लेंथ मॉक्स आफ्टर यू फील अ लिटिल कॉन्फिडेंट इन योरसेल्फ कि चलो अब मैंने 2 महीने बहुत अच्छे से लग के पढ़ाई करी है, मोस्ट ऑफ माय करिकुलम इज कवर्ड, अब मैं फुल लेंथ के मॉक्स दूंगा. एंड एज यू पॉइंटेड आउट, एनालाइजिंग द मॉक मोर इम्पोर्टेंट देन गिविंग द मॉक. सो व्हेन पीपल आस्क मी हफ्ते में कितने मॉक्स देने चाहिए, मैं यही कहता हूँ मे बी यू जस्ट गिव 1 मॉक टेस्ट इन अ वीक, बट स्पेंड वेरी गुड टाइम एनालाइजिंग इट. अगर उसमें तुम्हें कोई अपनी वीकनेस मिल जाए, so work on that. Take help from material online, and if you've joined a coaching institute, you'll have tons of material. I have material that I have not even touched till now. All my exams are done. It's practically impossible to complete.
At the age of data, we get a lot of data. हमारे पास, I mean, even net से, I mean, when I started preparing, I just Googled something, maybe torrent or maybe something, and I had like tons. I couldn't even figure out should I read them or what.
Exactly. So that's about it. You have enough content. Enough to kya? I should say more than enough content. Yeah. And even if after that you go on to look for more, you will find more also. So that's about it. So that is my take on mock tests.
So one more thing, ये तो बहुत अच्छा point out किया, because giving mocks and analyzing plus sectional mocks before completing the whole syllabus, ये बहुत important रहता है. बट एक और चीज, क्या चीजें हैं जो एनालिसिस में आपने देखी, मतलब अपने एनालिसिस में क्या चीजें थी ऑब्जर्व करते थे जो मॉक्स में, बिकॉज वी डोंट नो व्हाट एक्चुअली टू ऑब्जर्व. आई मीन, सो a person giving mocks and working on that can only say it comes to experience. Even you telling somebody won't help that much, but that will guide some students, right?
Right. This is a very good question. In fact, मैंने कभी सोचा भी नहीं था कि कभी कोई पूछ सकता है ये. नहीं, it makes complete sense. There are many parameters on which you can judge your performance. जैसे मैं टाइम के मॉक्स देता था, so after that during the analysis उसमें लिख के आता था how much time I spent on this question and what was the average time spent by everybody else in India for this question. Very important. Time-based exam है, you have very limited duration to crack every question. वो जज करना बहुत important है. शायद मैं हर क्वेश्चन कर पाऊँ, बट शायद मैं हर क्वेश्चन टाइम लिमिट में ना कर पाऊँ, तो टाइम जज करना बहुत important है. आप जो क्वेश्चंस गलत करते हैं उसके टॉपिक्स अलग से लिख के आ जाते हैं बाद में. As far as Times mock test series is concerned, I think बाकी institutes में भी ऐसे ही होगा. That's why they are also the leading institutes. तो वहाँ से आपको आपके weak areas पता चल जाते हैं. Once you identify your weak areas, आप अपने material से या कहीं बाहर से you can practice on those questions more. And अगर even that does not work, you can always seek professional guidance on those specific topics. इसके अलावा another thing which can come in handy, not for CAT but for other exams, I can say CAT you can't switch between sections, but in other exams you can. In that you can. NMAT happens to have a completely different structure wherein you pick in which order you will be answering every section. So you pick the order of sections and then you cannot move on to the next question without answering the question that you're on.
Okay.
तो इन एस्पेक्ट्स की प्रैक्टिस करनी चाहिए स्पेसिफिक अदर मैनेजमेंट एंट्रेंस टेस्ट के मॉक टेस्ट दे करके भी. तो जैसे कि आपने ही कहा था स्टार्टिंग में कि कैट छोड़ के बाकी एग्जाम्स की भी प्रेपरेशन करनी चाहिए. एंड सिंस वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट मॉक्स, इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू हाईलाइट दैट appearing for mock tests of other management exams is equally important because they give you something to fall back on.
Of course, fall back plus India में क्या है ना, if you say MBA, everybody would say IIM. I mean, I know people who don't even know the name of XLRI, and it's like, I mean, of course, people not from industry. I mean,
right.
I mean, my parents as well. If you say that I'm going to XLRI, they would be like, IIM would be better. I'm like, I mean, that's a normal reaction that you'll get, right?
Right.
But these exams, I mean, amazing colleges. We have XLRI, we have IFT, we have, I think so, CET. I mean, you're not from Maharashtra, but in CET, there are Jamnalal, Bajaj and other colleges.
Yes.
These are amazing colleges. I mean, non-IIM as well. I mean,
correct.
Even for me, in my engineering days, apart from IIMs, I just knew FMS. And that
Okay.
I was from Delhi. I was studying in.
Okay.
So that's just it. So that's an amazing take. One more thing that I gathered was about mocks and the frequency of it. So just a ballpark number. How many mocks did you give yourself?
I gave one mock every week starting September. Only in the last couple of weeks in November, I did not appear for mocks before CAT because I did not want that trauma just before CAT ki mock kharab ho gaya, ab CAT kharab ho jayegi. That really helped me. And after CAT also I gave mocks. I gave mocks for SNAP, NMAT. No, NMAT mocks I gave before CAT because my NMAT was a couple of weeks before CAT. So I gave NMAT mocks early in November. I started giving them early in November, and I gave ZAT mocks after my IIFT exam. It was on 18th December, so after that I started giving ZAT mocks.
Again, coming to your profile and coming to preparation, एक छोटा सा सवाल था which I forgot initially. You said कि 1 साल का gap है and you had this 1 year gap, right? Apart from coaching and personal development, you had a personal growth, amazing personal growth, right? But I mean, for interviews, you might have prepared something, some certification or some kind of a part-time. Did you go for that approach or not?
Absolutely not. I can't say I was sure about my profile, but I knew my profile was decent enough because I had good academics. I have been very involved in extracurricular activities throughout my school as well as my college, and my work ex gets justified with the awards and other things that I can talk about during the interview. So I felt having this, it's not actually 1 year also, it's just a matter of 6 months if you see before the interview. So they count it as a 6 months gap, and I just have to justify it for 6 months. I did not do any other certification course. I've done enough of them during my college and my work experience. So I completely stayed away from that.
Amazing. You were just focused on one particular thing, and that helps also.
Right.
So now coming to the last part in any preparation, that is revision, and that's the crux of it. Although I think being an aptitude test, revision takes a back seat because जैसा I mean UPSC, मान लो UPSC है and you have tons of knowledge. तो revision में आपको actual facts देखने पड़ेंगे. But I don't think so. Apart from a few formula, कुछ इक्का दुक्का इधर क्वांट का हो गया, इसके अलावा कुछ revision के लिए rote learning वाली चीज नहीं होगी. So what kind of a revision did you do? I mean, you didn't even take mocks just before CAT. So हफ्ता 10 दिन 15 दिन पहले what was your mindset and किस type का revision efforts आपने लिया?
Right. So what I did just a couple of weeks before CAT, and this even applies to that, is that I created cheat sheets of formulas and tricks which I learned over a period of 4 months during my classes, some tricks that I devised on my own when I gave mocks and when I solved questions from the material. So I just used to revise the cheat sheet. I mean, now I am calling it cheat sheet, but practically 40, 50 pages of formulae and so many more tricks. So revising all of that also becomes a task. Last couple of weeks, I just relied on that. I spent time with my family, with my friends, gave myself a very congenial atmosphere where I'm not pressured by how many people are going to give the exam, how tough the exam might be, all these things. I just I put myself in a zone to stay calm and relaxed.
Again, being in a neutral zone of course helps. I mean, if you're too excited about it, that also is a problem. If you're depressed and worried about it, that is itself is a problem.
Right.
So talking about your dream about XLRI initially. So, I mean, how is this? I mean, I was pretty shocked because normally people aim for ABC or some big IIM. I mean, for me, I've always wanted, rather than ABC, I wanted to go into FMS because of the ROI factor. And because that's in Delhi, my home state. So, but I mean, why XLRI?
Okay, so this was back in 2020 when we saw COVID coming in. I was in the third year of my engineering and I was in the fourth year of my engineering. I'm so sorry. I just entered the fourth year and people in my batch were talking about CAT and ZAT, all these exams for MBA. And I was also having a conversation with my parents and we saw how XLRI is the history of XLRI. It's the first B school of the country, established in 1949, even before the IIMs. So and it happens to be among the top 10 institutes in all rankings. Some private ranking institutes have also rated it as number one above the top Holy Trinity IIMs also. So just felt like this happens to be a dream that nobody else is chasing.
Like the offbeat location somebody wants to travel to.
Exactly. Plus, when I saw the pictures of the campus, I just fell in love with the beauty of the place and the fact that it's away from city life, yet it's producing such good results every year. Just happened to be my dream college at that point. I did not appear for any exam in 2020, unfortunately, because I got placed and I decided abhi COVID ke time mein it's better to gain WorkX rather than directly jump into an MBA. So uske baad 1 saal ka WorkX liya maine, then I quit my job and now finally.
I think WorkX always helps. It gets you perspective, gets you a feel of corporate structure, the way of life. Because I don't think, I mean, MBA is very practical in its approach, in its teachings, but still it cannot match the exact experience of corporate that you have. I mean, it tries to give you a glimpse, but of course you can't learn something without jumping into it. Like you can't learn swimming without jumping into water. So
Absolutely right. It gives a very different perspective to things. Things are very theoretical during your undergraduate years. You learn about things from books and you see these are the best practices that should be followed, which actually aren't in most cases. Fortunately, my organization, they were practiced. And I was very happy to see all things that I had learned in 4 years of my engineering as best practices being implemented. But in most cases, it does not happen. Plus, WorkX gives you enough content to talk about yourself in the interview, which is something that most people often neglect when they consider WorkX as an important factor. People think it's good on the paper, but nahi. आपके पास बात करने को बहुत हो जाता है interview में, something very recent, because talking about an XYZ event that I organized in my college and I was the head of that event has lesser value as compared to I was an employee at this MNC and I added this value to the project that I was working on. I was awarded and whatnot.
So very well said, because for a fresher, I mean, I have seen a few people, not many, a few people who are very into academics. They had excellent academics in 10th, 12th, and then they did graduation and they did basically non-professional courses. So BSc, BA, and they were very academically sound. But when they were asked, okay, because not many colleges have big fests. So, and fests are basically in engineering and other colleges, and not into basic, degree colleges.
Degree courses, right?
Degree courses. So they don't have much to talk about without that work experience part, and that becomes a problem. If they would have known, they would have that insight before, तो वो उससे बहुत gain कर सकते थे. Now coming to कितने interview calls आए थे?
I got as far as IIMs are concerned, I had interview calls from all 9 CAP IIMs. Apart from that, I had calls from Amritsar, Nagpur, and Visakhapatnam. I had my interview call from XLRI. I had calls from all campuses of NIMS because I had a good NMAT score. I converted NIMS Mumbai as well for the core MBA program. I had an interview call from IMT Ghaziabad, from Goa Institute of Management, from XIM Bhubaneswar also. Am I missing out on something? I had an interview call from IIFT as well. I gave their interview recently. I'm not looking forward to joining IIFT, but obviously the experience counts.
Also, one small thing, Shillong se aaya tha? Did you get a call from?
I had 93 percentiles. I couldn't get a call from Shillong.
Because I am asking everybody about Shillong, because this is my 4th or 5th interview of this year toppers. And I met a guy who had like 99.8 percentile in CAT, and he had amazing academics, 10, 9, 8 something. And he didn't get a call from Shillong, and he got a call from every IIM, but not Shillong. And he was thinking like what happened, and he was himself confused. So that's why I just asked. So now coming to interviews, what was your preparation strategy for interviews?
Okay, so honestly, I did not plan how I'm going to go about my interviews really well, because I knew I have decent communication skills, so that's not something that I have to train myself on. Plus, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा इंटरव्यू में what do they talk about? मेरे बारे में, मेरे achievements के बारे में, मेरी प्रोफाइल के बारे में. तो I focused more on brushing up about myself rather than learning many new things about the world. कि मैं न्यूज़पेपर तो पढ़ ही रहा हूँ, बट मैं उसके अलावा भी बहुत कुछ पढ़ लूँ क्योंकि कुछ भी पूछ सकते हैं. नहीं, I knew the conversation will revolve mainly around what I have done and places that I have been to, experiences that I have had. So I revised my final year project really well for engineering. I made bullet points of things that I had achieved in college as far as events and fests were concerned. About my work experience, I honestly did not have to revise it a lot because it's not something that I did years ago, very recent. So, but still, I kept that in my mind that they can ask me about my work experience and how I played a crucial role towards the success of a project, or what my aspirations were from that job. Just these things, nothing more than that.
Decent strategy, because knowing about you is the first thing and primary reason that an interview is conducted, right?
Right.
अब चलते हैं थोड़ा सा इंटरव्यू की तरफ. You said कि NIMS का इंटरव्यू पहले हुआ, क्या कुछ experiences आप बता सकते हैं? From those interviews.
Among the major interviews, see, I'll say एक बात बन गई है कि stress interview लेते हैं. Apparently, मेरा एक भी stress interview नहीं था. मैंने इतने सारे interviews दिए. I forgot to mention earlier, I also interviewed for SPJ IMR. Two courses, PGDM Marketing and PGDM Business Management. I've been waitlisted by them, and of course I'm not looking forward to joining SPJIMR now, but their interview experience was really different. They had 2 group interviews. Group interviews are always a little bit more difficult because you have competition right there in your interview. These interviewers and the panelists, they judge you, comparing you with what the other person presents about themselves or presents about a topic which is being discussed. So that makes it really hard. I wouldn't say it was a stress. Any of my SPJIM interviews were stress interviews for me, but they had very typical and different questions as to how will you go about this, questions about ethics, how will you tackle this situation, will you take bribe, will you give bribe, these things. They tend to stress out candidates in an interview environment. And I really liked how they structured their interviews.
Can you share some more light about this group interview and how is it conducted basically?
Okay, so SPJIMR has 2 rounds of interviews for each of their courses. And the first round happens online. It's a group interview. You are a group of 3 to 4 candidates which are being interviewed by a panel that may be of 3 or 4 members, maybe 2 members. And the panelists will take turns in giving you situations and analyzing how you would act in those situations for both the interviews majorly. I couldn't feel a lot of difference between the 2 interviews in terms of one being a very technical interview, the other one being a non-technical interview, because even the second interview, it revolved more or less around ethics and how you will act in a situation. And the first interview also, revolved a little bit around your knowledge, current affairs. They discussed with us the Delhi-Mumbai highway and how it is going to change how the travel happens. One of the candidates had mentioned that they take very keen interest in cricket, so they were asked questions about cricket as well. So that is what happens. They basically test you on what you portray to them.
So group interview is sort of a GD without a discussion on common topic, right? Four people are together and they'll be asking one, right?
No, in my case, they had just given a topic. They give multiple topics and they were also pitching in points from their side. What happens in a typical GD is that the panelist will give you the topic and then he'll stay quiet or she'll stay quiet. They'll just evaluate you in the end and then they'll leave. So they were also giving inputs. They were keeping the conversation flowing and they will ask me something and to follow on the same topic, they'll ask somebody else something completely different. So that's how they go about that.
So after interview and can you share, you shared about SPJAN, you shared about some about NMIMS and XLRI. So can you share a few tips like how these interviews are different? Because some are profile based, some are, or do they have a common link? They go generally the same everywhere.
I feel most interviews have the same structure. You will have 2 or 3 people interviewing you. These people will ask you different sort of questions. They must have, premeditated those questions in most cases, unless you make very controversial statements during your interview, then you will definitely be grilled on those statements made by you. Otherwise, it's normally a very smooth flowing conversation, just like the one we are having. You're asking me so many things. More or less, these things are only asked in MBA.
Exactly. About profile, about yourself.
Exactly. So, more than anything, you must be calm and you must be confident in yourself. They are going to ask you about yourself. As far as differences are concerned, most colleges have different set of values that govern them. NMIMS believes very significantly in something, but XLRI believes very significantly in something else. SPJN, it revolves completely around ethics. So you must always, make sure that you highlight the aspects that the college believes in more in the interview. If you believe in them too. See, if you try to fake the fact that I am a firm believer of ethics and later on they question you about bribe and you tell them, okay, I'll accept bribe, it doesn't work out. You have to be very honest to yourself and very honest with them. So that is how it happens.
So, whenever something came up, I used to divert it towards my work experience. Okay. So I was there and I came to my work and did that. So because you can't be focusing on something that you know that you have a problem in.
Correct. Absolutely right.
And of course, matching them with the ethos of the college is again a wonderful insight, because every college, like Bangalore, you say entrepreneurship mindset is important. For Calcutta, I am Calcutta, you say like finance background is important. So you can focus on those parts in those colleges interview.
Absolutely right.
That's an amazing insight. So let's round up the interview. I think we had a lot of insights and amazing preparation trips. यार इतना detailed preparation, not just for CAT and I mean written exams, but also for interviews. इतना detail में getting to know these things. These are amazing, and you prepared a lot to get into I mean your dream B school. So once again, congratulations, Sidharth. I hope our viewers would have gotten amazing insights from Sidharth. I mean, he is the topper right now. I mean, top 5 B schools, yaar. और क्या चाहिए? So once again, congratulations, and thank you for giving us these insights, for giving me this interview, and for giving our channel this interview. So for more such videos, you can connect and subscribe to College Duniya's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Vishal Saran, and with this, we'll be signing off. Bye-bye. Take care.